Well, in a game that sure felt like must win for October, the Boston Bruins find themselves on the winning side of things with a 3-2 shootout victory over the previously undefeated Florida Panthers, who I think will still say, like, holy shit, that was still good. We'll take that point. As they played without a few players in the lineup. The Bruins still played without a few players, but overall, the Bruins do a lot of things well and get the victory. Welcome you into Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor post game show after the Bruins victory. Razor, it was when we say must win, I know that that can be an exaggeration, a hyperbole, whatever adjective you want to use to describe it. But the truth of the matter is, it's a feel thing. That's what it is. Coming off of those two games, one in Carolina, one in Florida, where the Bruins just didn't. They just didn't have much of anything, quite honestly, except for that first period in Florida. And I know some people say, well, they played a good game in Carolina, right? They played a good game, but they still didn't have it. Didn't it feel like they had it on Saturday night?
Yeah, and I think that's the must part of it is that they had to show that they can play and score. They didn't score a whole lot, but they scored enough, and they scored in the timely manner. They were down, and they scored that late one that we're used to seeing the Bruins score. Scored late in the first period, which we're used to seeing them score. Um, so yeah, certainly the must win is like you said, hyperbole, but at the same time, for a team that wants to compete, that we expect to compete in the Eastern Conference, it felt like was one of those games. They don't play Florida for 6 months. They don't play till the end of April. So this
Yeah.
was the last measuring stick that you're going to have against the best team in the conference, and they passed it with flying colors.
Schedule really
It's
does suck this year. I hadn't. It really sucks. I mean, between having 10 days off to start the season and then a couple of other days, and now you play this game, and now you don't have you have a 4-day break, which, while I understand is nice, I think they'd like to get back and playing a game on Tuesday, and then like 10 days from now, or maybe it's a little longer than that, Razor.
I know, I
They've got
know.
5 days off in mid-November. It
It really
sucks
does,
early
and
on.
it's gonna feel like that all the way through the Olympic break when they end up getting 3 weeks off and everyone's staring at each other, and then they're gonna have a massive race at the end. So it does suck. It would be nice to see them keep playing, get a bunch of games in like some of these other teams are, but that also adds to the must-win part of this, is some of these games, even though they're only 6 games in, everyone else is 10, 11, 12 games in it, it's human nature to look at the standings, and when you're at the bottom, even though it's 6 games and you have games in hands, etc., those games in hand are coming in fast, furious bunches in
Down.
March and
Yeah.
April, and you want to bank points, and we talk about it all the time: banking points, banking games.
Yeah. So they get this, and I do think that the league, was watching to see, what the Bruins would do, how they would respond. I understand people are busy with their own teams, et cetera, but you know what I mean. This was a quick turnaround against a rematch of sorts, against Florida. So what would they do? It was a highly entertaining game for late October. I thought very, very entertaining. I thought it had a lot of everything, and I think. Who knows where this team ends up, obviously, but in general, I think for now, they've got to feel good because they showed up. You said it, they scored late, but then they also scored on the power play, which they needed to. They didn't, there was a little bend, but there wasn't break. Linus Olmark was very good. Why don't we start there? That I know that he's really happy with the win. He said after the game he was kind of rosy about it. He's a very chipper type of guy. The hockey game is very nice. I'm having fun with him. I'm not making fun, and he had to have been thrilled to do that at home
Yeah,
on a
and
Saturday
there's no
night.
question. You could see it meant a lot to him at the end of the shootout and swatting it. He knows. I think he does get it. He does get it, and I think he's going to be demure at times. He's going to randomly come up with stuff sometimes because of language and the Swedish culture. They just say things.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I think he understands that, and it seemed to me watching the way he played tonight, that he understood that tonight was a big game for his teammates, for his coaching staff. Listen, I mean, Bruce has kind of gone after him after every game. over one goal here, one goal
Yeah.
there. And I'm sure he's heard that. And I'm sure he gets the current of it. And this Swayman kid is like the fancy toy. And I think it was a big win for him. And I think he felt that. And I think he wanted to prove that to everybody. He's going up against another young kid a great team and Spencer Knight in Boston and the whole thing.
Yep.
I think it meant a lot to him. I do.
I think you could
Yeah.
tell by the celebration, not after the winning the shootout, stopping Tippett, and then coming out and giving a little more. And then I thought the big hug with Swayman was it was cool, and I thought it was, important too. And I thought I thought it was
I
genuine.
agree.
I saw it was a
Yeah,
very
those guys they're doing the new age goalie. Like when I played goal, the other goalie didn't talk to like when I was the young kid, Byron Defoe wasn't excited to have me around, or like the old guy didn't really want you around. It was competition. I think nowadays there's the goalie union is strong as ever, and I think certainly in Boston they recognize it. There's a very, 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 very good chance these 2 guys are gonna be the 2 guys for the next 2, 3 years, and they're
Mhm.
getting along and competing, but understand also that they're not going anywhere, so let's have fun together.
Yeah, they genuinely
They
probably
do,
need each other too. Well, they definitely need each
absolutely.
other right now.
Every
Right now
win
they
is a
do.
big deal for
You
the
know.
other guy right now, takes pressure off each of them.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and until one of them, grabs the crease regularly, which I don't who knows if it's gonna happen. It might, but they
Yep,
need each other right now. So that was good to see. What also was good to see was the performances by a few players, um, in no particular order. Charlie Coyle, who had a goal, and then the shootout winner. Taylor Hall, who had a was a multi-point game. He had 2 assists and was much more involved, was I don't know if he was driving the line. I mean, he was very involved, though. Put it that way. Doing things that were, puck retrievals, winning battles, etc. Um, so that was great. Craig Smith coming back into the lineup. I thought he had a nice game in the sense of, he was involved. He was able to handle moving up to the top line for the second and third period, and so that was good to see him make it through the game physically in there. And I thought a few guys. I mean, look, Charlie McAvoy scoring on a power play, huge. Now it's not a power play from the point shot, which I think we all want to see, but it was still a power play goal. So I thought those guys were enormous. We'll start with Charlie Coyle. Um, y- you know, we talk a lot about the pressure that was on Jake DeBrusk this year, but Charlie Coyle was the other player that had a lot of pressure on him. And I don't want to say so far A plus, but I will say so far I'm giving him a B plus. I'm going to give him a B plus for where he's at. And granted, he's played right wing a fair amount too, but he's shooting more. He's doing more, and because
yeah,
he's
and to your
involved more.
point, I'll probably give him an A as a centerman. I think moving over to the right and Stanek, that it doesn't feel the same way. It isn't. It isn't. And Jack's great and he's moving,
Mhm,
but Coyle, Hall, Pasternak slash Smith is how that line is gonna do its
mhm,
best. The second line looks the best, and yeah, there's a ton of pressure. I feel like I was looking at Charlie Coyle even more than DeBrusk in this season, and he has to step up. He's getting big bucks, and that
yeah.
those expectations to drive that, and he's fulfilling those. And in a game like this tonight, again, they beat the Florida Panthers, the best team in the league, without their top line playing great 5-on-5. So everyone can talk about depth and everyone
Yeah.
looks at it like, oh, it's always the top line, it's always the top. Well, this wasn't the case in this game. I didn't see that in any way whatsoever. The top line had to move players around, and it was Charlie Coyle and Taylor Hall that really picked up the slack.
Charlie Coyle ended up playing 1933 with the goal. He had 2 shots on net, 4 total attempts, couple of hits, 10 for 16 in the faceoff circle. Played more minutes than Patrice Bergeron did, who played 17, 48. Eric Howla, the other center, played 17:01, and then your fourth line center, Tomasz Nosek, played 11:36.
That's pretty good down the
So that's
middle.
a big
That's pretty
game.
good down the
It's a big
middle,
game.
right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. It was a big. It's a big game for Charlie Coyle. A big game for Taylor Hall, who played 18:23. He had 3 shots on goal, a couple of assists. You pointed out the puck retrieval on the power play goal, huge, as he was able to. He accelerated really quickly from the front of the net to get to the puck behind the net, and the hard rim around, not stopping and holding, just moving it immediately, allowed the Bruins to regain control of the puck and get it set into an opportunity where Marchand could do his magic from the left
And
wing
we
side.
talked about it. I think that's where he's going to get better at that, and I think that's where he can really add to that power play once they figure out how they all work. And I think that was a good example of Nick Ritchie's not getting behind the net the same way Taylor Hall is to get a backhand around the boards. Nick Ritchie
No,
does other things
no.
well. They just need to figure out exactly how each piece of that cog works. But I think it was a good example of how it can look once they get going a little bit, having the skill and the talent those guys can put together on the power play.
So what do you think? What do we think of the change made after the first period? Pasternak to the Coyle line, Craig Smith moving up to the Bergeron line. It ended up that David Pasternak played more than any other forward time on ice. He played 21:32 overall. And what I'm trying to get to is played 7:15 in the first, 6:20 in the second, 5:32 in the third, and then he played 2:13 of overtime. 21:20, sorry, was his total. So, in the one hand, he played a ton in the first, right? He played less the second and third, but on the other hand, yet Bruce still played a ton of it. Was it to prod him, or was it just to say I mean, Coyle scored the goal later in the first period, but what I guess the question is, what was the message there? Was it for the team or was it for Pasternak?
It's got to be for Pasternak. That's the first line wasn't very good. I mean, they didn't have much going on in the first period, so it's a pretty easy time for him to do that. But I would imagine at the end of the day,
Mhm.
when you're dropping David off of that line, I feel like it's always to prod him. Um, you want to get everybody's attention, and that's kind of the easiest way to do it. But I mean, what do you think? And do you think that there is an opportunity, or do you think there's a chance that they actually stick with this? Do you think that they will do this for yeah, exactly.
History says no.
But
History says no. But right.
mhm.
Does it make them a harder team or a better team? So a harder team to play against, aka a better team. What do I think? I do think it was more of a move to get David Pasternak's attention and to say, okay, you don't want to play the way we want you to play. You're passing up shots, or you're doing this, or you're doing that, and turning the puck over. Well, you know what? Fine. I'm gonna then split you guys up. And uh, I listen. I got to imagine that. Look, I think it worked for Craig Smith in the sense he had energy. I do think it worked for David Pasternak. Was he still great pasta? No, but was he a little bit better? Yeah. I'd like to actually see them go with it against Detroit on Thursday night. I would. I'd like to see him go with that because you know what you say. Listen, you're playing a team that is going to be full of, P and V. They're young. They're young bucks, etc. But you know what? Let's start with this. Let's show them some good balance. I don't think that they will, though. By the way, I think that Bruce is going to go back to the top line and say, "Here's your next chance. Do it again." There. I'd like to see it though. But I was a proponent. I was a big proponent of Pasternak and Krejci for an extended period of time. I think you were too. I was talking about give it 3 games. Give it 3 games, and Bruce wouldn't do it. It doesn't seem to be what he
Yeah,
leans
and
towards,
do you
Razor.
do you think maybe an 82 game season changes that rather than the 56? They had a bit of a sprint last year. My other question is does David need it over not just a period or two at this point? He's not giving much right now. And does he need
Yeah. I agree.
a little, and it's not even just a change of scenery. Maybe let him push a line a little bit rather than always waiting on the other two guys. Maybe go, let him go wind it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what you don't want is you don't want the other guys deferring. I don't see Taylor Hall going to defer to him. I
He's
don't
going to pick
think
the
that would
pace up for
happen.
David
But
too, isn't he? If he's out there on the other side, will Hall push him? Right?
well, you
Yeah.
hope so. You hope so. You do hope so. I don't want Charlie
No.
Coyle to defer at all. I don't. And that doesn't mean I don't want him passing. But as we talked about in the pregame, he's averaging over 2 shots on goal per game. He's only done that. It's really technically once in his career. I gave him twice because there was another time where it was like 1.98 per season. And it's no coincidence that when he hits high point totals, it's when he averages 2+ shots on goal per game. So he has to continue doing that. Now, with all that said, he can still be a really big body, can own the puck, and then he can get it over to Pasternak. I do think it's good. And because it's an 82 game season, I think it's a good question, a valid point that you make there too, bud. Why not try it for a couple of games? I mean, at least one more. You can always put back. You can always reunite Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak, and they're going to have instant chemistry.
The
And
heart
maybe there'll
grows
be
fonder.
better
The heart
chemistry than
grows
what we've
fonder.
seen. It, it does. Yes, it does. The heart grows fonder, the reunited, and it feels so good. All those things. I'm with you, bud. But I got to. I don't know.
Yeah,
Again, if,
they're
if
back
history is
together.
any
That's right.
indicator, that they'll be back together at practice.
Are they
Actually, they're
really?
practicing Sunday, I believe.
Yeah,
What?
maybe they'll give him
Well,
a
you know what? I saw
practice
that, and I
Sunday and then a big Halloween blowout Sunday night. That's old school.
well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I'm thinking of probably that is old school. I would think that they're going to have
Yeah.
a party on Sunday
Good
night,
good
a
shindig
good
Sunday
party.
night.
So, um,
Halloween parties are the
oh yeah,
best in the
yeah,
NHL. Oh my god. The
NHLers.
Halloween parties are
The
by far the best parties that we have all season long.
Yeah,
Well,
why?
the big thing is you
Is
have
it
the
just
big
I
rush of the October starts, and you have new players. So that's the first time everyone gets to really meet the wives and everyone's together. So people drink just because they're uncomfortable a little bit. So you have a few more drinks that way. And then on top of it, you're dressed up,
wonderful.
and it's always at it's always at the All-Stars house. So he's got it catered, you got the bar, you got free booze everywhere. It always was the best. I miss it so much. That's like the best night of the year. And my wife and I talk about our
It is
Halloween
be
parties more than we talk about anything else that happened when I played.
it was it's amazing how
Yes,
much
it's a big
effort
deal.
goes
It's a
into the
big deal.
costumes for NHL. And the last decade, it has gotten even more
Yeah, the young guys
extravagant.
have so much money
Who can
now. They
outdo
just
the other?
blow it. I mean, we just put like glasses on and just stood at the bar all night. Um, Hal Gill dressed up as a
Right.
pinata and just we beat him as a pinata by the end of the night.
I know if it's crazy how much effort goes into it, but I guess I understand. It's also maybe it's also because, as you said, early part of the year, everybody's
Mhm.
still in a good mood.
Exactly.
Nobody's tired of each other,
It's the first
that
time you
kind of
get to
thing.
really,
Still
like, get
excited. It's
together.
fun.
It really there's a rookie party at some point down the road,
Yeah,
but this is the first, the wives bring a big thing to it, in a good way, that they get together for the first time. There's a lot of wives that are new and the girlfriends, and they all get together. It's so much fun. The Halloween parties are the best. So everyone's seeing the pictures, and if you go on Instagram or wherever you go, like, they're out there, but it is, like, exciting for the players. It's so much fun.
you can't. Okay, you can't tell me though the conversations that were had after the Halloween party. Maybe not that night, but especially perhaps by the significant others who said, "Did you see what she was
Well, yeah,
wearing?
you get
Did
a good read of the
did
why. You get
you
a good read
did
once
you
once you see who's dressed up as what, you know?
did you see what
Yeah.
that
Well,
21-year-old was
the
wearing
the
or
girlfriend's
not
always a
wearing?"
cheerleader. The wife with 3 kids at home is always the mummy.
Right. Yes. Yes. Oh
It's
gosh.
great.
Oh, all right. I don't want to get
Yeah.
myself or anybody else in trouble right now. So we'll steer back to hockey. Um, all right. So as we talk about this team, the power play, something we talked about significantly in the pregame show, Nesson, um, not getting pucks through. They still
Mhm.
struggled before they ended up scoring that power play goal. I think it took it 18 seconds on that third period one where McAvoy ended up scoring. Razor, this power play, it's so funny because it's been so good for so long. You know, we're talking top 5, top 7, at minimum top 10, right? Um, it doesn't look that way. Now, the Marchand pass to McAvoy looked great, but we haven't seen nearly enough of that. Are we in danger of seeing the Bruins fall out of the top 10 in power play efficiency?
I still don't think so, but um, it, it's also one of those things where the power plays that end up in the top three in the league, the penalty kills. I mean, the Bruins power play and penalty kill the last 3 years have been 1-2-3, 1-2-3. Like it's just automatic.
Right.
It's right at the
Right.
top. It's hard to catch up. As the season goes on, you get to 10 games. All right, that's 1/8 of the season. You get to 20 games, that's 25% of the season. If you're not in those top, if you're not in the top 10, let alone top 25, it's hard to chase those numbers. So
Mhm.
it's one of those things that does sneak up on you where it doesn't go good, it doesn't go good, and that snowballs real quickly. So I think it was a big goal to score against them. I also think there might be more chum in the water when they start playing teams that don't have the same penalty kill that the Florida Panthers, the Carolina Hurricanes. It could also be the fact that they played 5 unbeaten teams in a row. It is a tough schedule that they've played, and that could go towards penalty kills
Well, but
being
where's
hot, penalty kills being hot against a power play. So it is a concern for me. It still
yes.
is a concern because even though they scored tonight a big goal, but I feel like they get a benefit
Mhm.
of the doubt for what 4 more games, and then we're really going to start
Mhm.
crushing them. Like if they don't score 2 power play goals against Detroit, Toronto, that gets concerning. They're also not drawing
Yeah.
penalties.
I mean,
Again,
I'll
only
take
3 penalties again tonight. That's
well,
not a
no.
lot in this league now.
Well, and only the good
Yeah.
news is I'll try and find the positive, only one time shorthanded. However, it took all of 6 seconds
Yeah.
before Sasha Barkov scored the goal. Let's have a really super quick because I got a few other things on this super quick uh, Sasha
Oh
Barkov
my god.
appreciation moment. He was magnificent in this game. He played 26 minutes in this game, 25:57 to be exact. He did have a couple of giveaways, but he also had 4 takeaways. He was just under 50% in the faceoff circle. Bruins did a nice job in the faceoff circle in general in this game. Really good in their own zone, getting pucks won and getting them out. That was a big thing in this game, I thought. But Barkov was at times was dominant. I mean, for the second game back, a 2 game series, so to speak. For last night Detroit, tonight Saturday night in Boston. Oh my God, was he an absolute beast? So was McKenzie. So was Uyghur, and so was Ekblad. Their big boys played like big boys, but Barkov was, I thought,
Oh, he's
outstanding.
so great. And I mean, I said it to you in the first. I could watch that guy play hockey all day long. What a beast. What so long, so talented, so skilled. And then to look and see that he played 26 minutes on a back-to-back with travel in an over 2 overtime games. He scored the overtime winner last night. Um,
Yeah,
I'm going to bring up a question we haven't talked. What about the domination of the Florida Panthers and how bad the Bruins are in overtime? I got home, talked to my buddies, like, "Well, how bad did the Bruins get out coached in overtime with Barkov and Huberdeau going over the boards every time someone was tired?" Pasternak was out there; he got all his minutes in overtime. He was out there for like 4 minutes in overtime, stuck
yeah,
behind it.
2:13 over.
Um,
Yeah,
the Bruins in their
yep.
overtime, and I think they need to watch the video of how Florida played their overtime and really take a look at puck possession.
Yeah, I would agree. I was going to say the biggest key to me was how they tried to force a few plays, and all it takes is one bad force of a play or average force of a play. There's so much open ice that the opponent picks it up and goes. We haven't, we didn't see them reset like the Panthers did a few times. You have to be able to do that. The Bruins a lot of times in the overtime where it was like 1 against 2 instead of, bringing it back and making it at least 1-1 or try and create that odd man situation. I don't disagree that the overtime was not great for the Bruins, and it had after. I mean, they had a chance or two,
Yep.
right? But then it kind of had that feeling of, oh, hold on a second here, and then they had to get through I don't remember what it was, 30 something, 40 seconds near the end,
Yeah, it was
where Florida was
the
starting
rope a
to
dope.
ramp it around. Yeah, I agree. Listen, they need to be better at that. No question. I mean, Huberto and Barkov, Ekblad, Uyghur. Uh, they
Who
didn't have
was it?
Bennett, but they
Lundell?
had
That
Reinhardt.
Lundell, he's
Uh, Lundell, Lundell,
legit on the
yeah,
back
it,
end. He can
he's
rip it.
another good
Whoa.
player. Oh no, you're talking about Forsling.
Forsling, that's who I mean. Yeah, yeah,
Forsling on the back
Forsling
end.
too. Lundell's the
Lundell,
forward. Yeah, yeah.
Forsling.
Forsling can
Yeah,
rip it. Lundell's the forward. Yeah, the young kid.
yeah, Lundell was
Yeah,
out, right? But Forsling, yeah, Forsling is Duncan Keith
he
light.
is. You're
He
right.
is. That's
What
what
a.
he is. His reads, his lung capacity,
Mhm.
his ability to
How he
hammer the puck, but
shoots it
also to
quick. Like
take
it's
away
like
every.
fast. It's not heavy. It's just
Yep.
fast. Everything's fast. He does. Good player.
Yeah. He played 23, 40 minutes. He had 5 shots on goal, Gustav Forsling. He's been on a couple of teams, which is interesting, but the former head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks, of the Florida Panthers, was previously the head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks, Joel Quenneville. He knew Forsling from there. And so Forsling had an opportunity to watch Duncan Keith play. And I
Mhm.
think he's very similar to that. A couple of other things. I thought that the fourth line for the Bruins was pretty good. And they all played 10 minutes. Actually, Frederick played over 11. Nosek played over 11. Carson Kuhlman played 10 and a half. Carson Kuhlman had 3 hits. Frederick had a hit. Nosek didn't, but Nosek had 3 shots on goal. I was okay. I liked it. And it felt like the right amount of time for them to be on the ice. So I think that's, try and find that as a good positive
100%.
takeaway
And
too.
we'd be remiss not to use the word toggle at some point within this podcast. And the fact that they did not toggle the third and fourth
Mhm.
line is a real positive thing, in my opinion. They
Yeah.
kept no,
Yeah.
they kept those 3 guys together: Kuhlman, Nosek, Frederick together. They kept Lazar with the third line. It was perfect. They got their minutes in. It obviously helps.
Mhm.
Listen, it's going to help whenever there's only 5 penalties rather than 10 penalties in a game, because
Right.
those
Right.
3 top guys are just going to take the minutes if they're on the power play, just the way it is. But it was a really good mix and a really good job by the fourth line to stay relevant and stay wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. Because Bruce would shorten it,
Yeah,
especially with 4 days off in between
and down
games,
two
even
to
if
one
they're,
in the third
he
period
would
at
have.
home ice, and yeah, there certainly could have been time that he shortened it, but he didn't, and it's because they played well.
Yeah, they did. So I was
Yep.
happy about that.
And on top of that, you
Um,
don't have to worry
tell you
about
what
who's playing fourth line next game. The lineup stays the same. It's like, okay, let's move to the next game. Like where you're not
right.
talking about a Steen or a Bleed, or does someone have to come in and give more energy? No, these guys
Right.
brought energy. They can do it again.
So, a good win, an important win. It's just game 7, but it gets you over 500. It gets you a good win against a team that is above you, but is also considered one of the top probably 4 in the National Hockey League. It's nice to have a really good game after a lot of the shit that's been going on and that we've been talking about. And it was nice, I guess, I was entertained. I think it takes a lot for us to be highly entertained, perhaps. And we do so many games and all that, and it's our job, but we both love hockey. And I was like, I was into it. I was highly entertained in this game. So I take that as a
Yeah,
nice positive.
I didn't really look away for more than 20 seconds. It was a good pace. There was not many whistles, not many penalties. Everyone played hard. Good goalies at both ends. It was fun.
Mhm.
It's exactly what you expect from
Yeah.
top teams in the league, and what you expect from a Bruin game on Saturday night.
Yeah, fun to have there. Well, it's also fun. The fans were in a festive mood. A lot of people dressed up. You have a big Halloween.
Oh, we got
You got
Halloween
Halloween
tomorrow for
plans
sure.
or
The
what?
crew is
What?
pumped and ready. We got candy coming out of our ass, and yeah, it's gonna be a big one. How about your crew?
Any
No,
Canadian
no
candy
Canadian
or
candy,
no?
but
Or do
but
you have any
after
reserve?
our talk the other day in intermission, my mom and dad are coming down next Friday, so they've got the candy duty for sure because my kids want Wonder Bars and crispy. They want the whole thing, so
Okay, so
crispy
Coffee
crunch.
Crisp, Wonder Bar,
Yeah,
and Crispy Crunch. Crispy Crunch, very good. Again, I was a big when I used to go up to Canada. I would just
yeah,
get
I
the
know that. I
Cadbury,
the caramel, the
chocolate
caramel. Yeah, I did.
caramel.
I left
Oh,
that off the
caramel,
list,
caramel,
but it's definitely up
outstanding.
there. The caramels are up there.
I'm a big 100 grand fan because I can only get that for some
I know,
reason at
and we talked
Halloween.
about this. No, we didn't talk about it on the show,
I'm
but my
boring.
wife loves 100 grands more than anything in the world. Like but she can't find them, but she will go through my kids' bags way more than I will. I'm not that crazy about candy. She will take every
Oh
hundred
yeah,
grand, like it's automatic.
take
Yeah,
them, put them in the freezer. They are delicious. They are the best. We've got very early ice time on
yeah,
Sunday, so I guess that's a trick and not a treat, but we're going to do that. Get back onto the ice for an hour, and then I'm headed to the NHL Network for a couple of days. My wife and daughter had a little bit of a Halloween thing here on the house is decorated. They had a little fun, it looks like, decorating the house. So that should be fun for tomorrow for them. Uh, Actually, I'm not even sure what Julie is going as. Jake said that he was going as a crazy Boston, or no, is it a psycho Boston sports fan? He's got, the old Freddy Krueger, or not Freddy Krueger, the Jason
yeah.
goalie mask. And then he's
Brady
got all sports,
jersey, and
Boston
yeah, yeah.
sports teams. So he said, yeah, I'm going to be, yeah,
Love it.
everything. He's got Pasternak, Brady. He's got everything. He's got all five, including the Revs. He's got five teams. So he says, I'm going to go as a crazy or psycho Bruins Boston sports fan. I said, oh, okay, it's creative.
Love it.
So
Love
I
it.
like that.
And
So,
he'll
all
eat
right.
candy for
Well,
4 days
that's
and
going to
rot
wrap.
his teeth
Nope.
out.
Oh my God. Yeah, my kids
Oh,
sneak candy
I
all the
know.
time too. Like we find it somewhere
Wrappers everywhere.
and we're
Can you
like,
at least
what are
throw it
you
out?
sneaking
Like,
it
I
for?
don't want the wrappers. Throw it
Right.
out, knucklehead.
Right. And if you're going to bring it into your
Yeah.
bathroom, especially
Yeah.
throw it out.
Fuck
I mean,
kids.
Jesus, just like
Yeah.
just eat it and go with it. All right, that wraps up this morning brew with Jaffe and Razor. We appreciate you taking time, folks, to listen. It was a fun game. Bruins win 3-2 in a shootout. They go to 4-3. The Florida Panthers fall to 8-0-1. Razor and I will be back after Thursday's game. We're having a couple of not days off, but the Bruins have some time up. But we'll be back after Thursday's game and when the Bruins play host to the Detroit Red Wings. Remember to find Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor wherever you like to get your podcast from, or go to nesson.com/podcast. We are there. We have paid all of our life savings for those advertisements on Nesson. So please visit us somewhere there. We appreciate it. That's going to wrap this one up. Everybody have a wonderful Halloween. It looks like the weather in the Boston area should be very good for it. I hope it's safe. I hope everybody is healthy. Have a wonderful day. But before that, as always, enjoy that coffee.